Brayan Bello had a lights-out performance in his last outing on the bump for the Boston Red Sox. Does this mean he's officially back?
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Gabby, former ESPN social media associate and current host of the Boston Balling podcast as well. And I am here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox, Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed. And the best part is it's all completely free. So you might as well take advantage of it and tune in because Locked On is your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Welcome to the show. Happy Labor Day. Hope everyone's having a wonderful holiday weekend. It's always so nice getting that day off during the work week and having a shortened week. For some reason, sometimes the work week goes by slower for me when we have a day off from work for whatever reason. And I think it's just because I'm expecting it to go by fast. So as a result, it goes by slower. But as crazy as it is, we are in September. I cannot believe it. I don't know where this year has gone. It has absolutely flown by. And now that we're in the fall, it means postseason baseball is right around the corner. And the Red Sox are not in a great spot. They have fallen 4.5 games back in the wild card race after dropping a series against the Tigers, which was very much not ideal. It's a series they did need to win ultimately at the end of the day. The Tigers are not a fantastic baseball team, and the Red Sox now sit only 3 games above 500, and they are starting to slip back into some old habits with the defensive miscues and looking very much like the team that we've seen struggle since the All-Star break. And it's unfortunate because we wanted to feel like things were coming together for this team. We wanted to feel like they had guys coming back from injury and it would mean they could turn things around, but they're not really setting the tone that they are able to turn things around right now. This was a winnable series, should have been won, especially the Saturday game. Absolutely should have been won when the Red Sox fell 2-1 in the game. And it was very much an abysmal offense, only 4 hits for the Red Sox in that game. And their one score was on a solo home run for Tyler O'Neill in the first inning. And the Red Sox couldn't score any more in that game. I mean, it makes a little bit of sense because of the fact that Tarik Skubal was pitching for the Tigers. He has been fantastic this year and is the very heavy favorite to win the Cy Young Award. So I didn't really expect him to give up a lot of runs, but the Red Sox could have won that game because defensive miscues like Rob Repsnyder misplaying a ball in the outfield and then Cedar Rafaela waiting too long to throw the ball home and then a second run scored all on one sequence did not do the Red Sox any favors, and they gave up 2 runs on the play as a result and ended up losing. So definitely very frustrating. Nick Pivetta was throwing and went 6 innings, gave up 6 hits, but just those 2 earned runs. And the bullpen didn't give up any runs after that in the rest of the game, but the Red Sox just could not hit. And then they also lost Sunday's game 4-1. They did record 6 hits in the game, but what's frustrating is the Tigers only recorded 3 hits. So the Red Sox should have been able to take care of business and get the job done, but the Tigers made their hits count, and the Red Sox unfortunately did not. Cooper Criswell did pitch in the game. He went 4 innings and looked fantastic. Hadn't given up a hit or a run and had struck out 5 batters through 4. He was absolutely coasting, but then Alex Cora pulled him. And it was interesting because I felt like he definitely should have pitched longer into the game. Alex Cora basically explained that they felt like he had given them enough and they decided to go to the bullpen in that situation, and it backfired on him. But he had only thrown 52 pitches. So it was an interesting choice for sure, and a confusing one by Alex Cora. I definitely would have let Criswell continue because of the fact that he was coasting. And then when he starts to struggle, maybe pull him at that point. But the Red Sox did lose 4-1. And on today's show, I'm going to be talking about a pitcher who made his return to the Boston Red Sox and pitched in that series, as well as later on in the show, September call-ups, because it now is September. But one of the burning questions that we as Red Sox fans have right now is Brayan Bello back? He pitched an absolute gem on Wednesday night for Boston in the team's 3-0 win against the Blue Jays. It was honestly his best start of his career to me. Went 8 innings, gave up just 2 hits and no runs, and recorded 9 strikeouts. 9. And keep in mind, this is a guy who doesn't strike a lot of guys out very often. In a lot of his starts, you see his strikeout count pretty low, averaging about 4 to 5 strikeouts per game. But in this game here, he was on fire, absolutely motoring, got through 8 innings. I thought there was a chance Alex Cora would let him complete the game, but decided to go with his closer and throw Kenley Jansen in the 9th. But Bello absolutely cruised, and to me looked the best I've ever seen him in his career. And this was huge for Bello because he overall has had a tough season, struggling this year to find the strike zone. His command has been off, and he hasn't exactly been able to be as effective as we've seen from him in years past. Because if you take a look at some of his numbers, I mean, last season in 2023, his walk rate was 6.7%. This year, it's up to 8.8%. So he has been walking guys at a much higher rate this season. But on the flip side of that, his strikeout rate has gone up, because in 2023, it was a 19.8% strikeout rate that he had. This year, it's a 22.1% strikeout rate. And that was a big thing I was eyeing with Bello this year that I've talked about for a while, was he needs to get his strikeout rate up in order to be a more successful pitcher for this Red Sox team. So that's definitely something to note when it comes to Bello. And overall, he struggles a lot in his daytime starts. We've seen a lot of that from him in the past. And this year, prior to the All-Star break, he hadn't really been able to figure things out. But now, since the All-Star break, he's one of few pitchers on this Red Sox team that has actually gone upward in the second half. And his numbers from early on in the season were pretty rough, because he started off the season with a 3.60 ERA after his first start at Seattle on March 28th, where he gave up 2 earned runs. But then that ERA got bumped up to a 5.40 on April 2nd when he pitched at the A's and gave up 4 earned runs in that game. And he did have a good April overall, relatively. Gave up no runs in a game at the Pirates at the later end of the month of April. And it was a good outing for him, giving up no earned runs and striking out 7 in that game and pitching 6 innings. So that was a solid outing for him. And then he didn't pitch again until May 12th, because he was sidelined with an injury, just like lots of other players on this team who have been injured. And then he struggled a lot after that. So I felt like the injury held him back, and he wasn't able to get himself back on track for a while, because he went from a 3.13 ERA on May 12th all the way up to a 5.55 ERA on June 25th, because he gave up 7 earned runs versus the Blue Jays on June 25th and walked 3. And he just did not have it in that game, only going 2.1 innings, but it severely affected his ERA. Then going into July, he was pretty rocky then too. 5.27 ERA on July 26th when the Red Sox faced the Yankees and he went into that game hoping to redeem himself from some earlier starts in the season, but gave up 3 earned runs. So was average, but went 5 innings in the game. So definitely wasn't able to pitch for as long as the Red Sox wanted him to pitch for. But lately in his last few starts, he overall has been effective. He did have an outlier versus the Diamondbacks on August 23rd when he gave up 5 earned runs and the Red Sox just absolutely got destroyed. But in general, other than that, his last few starts besides that, on July 31st, gave up 2 earned runs over 6.1 innings. August 6th, 3 earned runs over 4.2 innings. August 12th, 1 earned run over 6 innings. Same thing on August 17th, 1 earned run over 6 innings. And then versus Toronto in that game on August 28th, 0 earned runs over 8 innings. And his ERA is now down to a 4.66 on the season. So looking back at his last few starts leading back into the end of July, he has seemingly established a little bit more consistency in terms of being able to eye the strike zone and have better command of where his pitches are going. And it's allowed for him to be able to pitch deeper into games. And he's also been utilizing his fastball regularly into his arsenal, which he wasn't doing earlier on in the season. And it has helped him to be more effective. So we've seen a lot of solid starts from him as of late. So I feel like that is starting to translate over to him having figured something out. And I think we're going to see more big time performances from Brayan Bello moving forward. Obviously, you never know how things are actually going to play out, but he, to me, has developed a lot of consistency over the past few weeks or so, and he is really honing in on his strengths as a pitcher and the types of pitches that are more effective for him. And it's allowed him to put together some quality starts, because in the first half of the season, he was all over the place and was struggling to get the outs, was walking lots of guys, and was just giving free passes and giving up lots of runs. So now in this part of the season with where we're at, it's exciting to think about the fact that he could be turning the tide, because we absolutely need him to if we want the Red Sox to even have the slightest chance at making the postseason. So he's definitely cut down on his walk rate. That's been a big thing for him. That's helped him to grow. Utilizing his fastball in his arsenal, and also being able to take advantage of situations he's in and throw what works best so that he can get out of base traffic and pitch deeper into games. That's what I've noticed over his last few starts that has made him more effective than he was early on. So hopefully that can continue for him. Fingers crossed that it does. But coming up, I'm going to be talking about a pitcher who has definitely made the rounds across Major League Baseball, including with the Red Sox in the past. You've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Well, we have something a little different for you. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. Just visit FanDuel.com to download America's #1 sportsbook. If you are looking to win lots of money, this is right here, the place for you. It's all right in front of you, so take advantage of it and download FanDuel. Also, thank you for making Locked On Red Sox your first listen today. For your second listen, enjoy the Locked On MLB podcast. Host Paul Sullivan, aka Sully, is here daily to provide national expertise with his trademark humor to help you get ready for the MLB playoffs here in the dog days of summer. Prepare for the Fall Classic with Sully, who has it all covered every single day on Locked On MLB, available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Sully is so funny. I've had the pleasure of doing a couple crossover shows with him, and he's definitely very knowledgeable about baseball, so make sure you check out his show after this. The Boston Red Sox are coming off of a very tough series loss against the Tigers when they are very much in must-win mode. They cannot afford to drop series like that. They have to basically win the majority of the games moving forward in order to have even the slightest chance of being a playoff team. And when you look at this Red Sox team right now and the way they're playing and the way they, for some reason, can't figure everything out at once, it's not looking promising. When the pitching is pitching really well and seemingly growing a little bit and showing improvement from where they were at right after the All-Star break, then the offense can't hit, which is a lot of what we saw in this Tigers series. Pitchers getting the job done as best as they could, but the bats being dead. When the offense goes on a big tear, like we saw right after the All-Star break when they were scoring 6 to 7 runs a game, the bullpen isn't on point and blows it. So it's one of those situations where you see the potential with every aspect of this Red Sox team, but they cannot put it all together to save their lives. And that has seriously held them back significantly this season. And now they're at the point where it's must win. It's mandatory, cannot afford to lose series anymore after a tough blow against a Tigers team that very much was inferior to the Red Sox. So super frustrating for sure. They have been playing well as of late. I'll give them that, but this was a winnable series 100%. And Alex Cora's decision not to keep Cooper Criswell in the game when he was cruising in the last game of the series definitely remains a mystery because his explanation wasn't great, just basically saying that he felt like with the situation that they were in and where they were facing in the Tigers lineup, that it made sense because Criswell, even though he was cruising, doesn't make sense to put against 4 left-handed hitters in 5 spots that were coming up for the Tigers. So therefore, Cora pulled him and put in a lefty, and it backfired, obviously, but that lefty was Rich Hill, who has returned to the Boston Red Sox officially after taking a hiatus from baseball to coach his son's team. And the timing was right for him to make a return. And the Red Sox were the team that made sense. So he is back for the Red Sox. Made his season debut with the team on Thursday night in the Red Sox 2-0 loss against the Blue Jays. He came in after Cutter Crawford had pitched 6 2/3 innings, giving up 6 hits and 2 earned runs with 3 strikeouts. So he came in the middle of the 7th inning, and then he pitched 1.1 innings and looked great. 0 hits, 0 earned runs, and 2 strikeouts. It was fantastic to see. It was nice to see him out there because he's so serious about the game of baseball, just loves it and just wants to be out there. And with how much time he spent in the league, I feel like so many fans feel connected to him. And it was really cool to see him out there and continuing his dream at 44 years old. So I loved that. And he was blatantly emotional about that because it was just cool for him to be back out on the field. And I think he was soaking it all in and appreciating the fact that he's still able to do this. He said it was great. It was good. There's a lot of people to thank to get to this point, and he was pausing in between all of that because his voice was choking up with how emotional he was. He retired all 4 batters he faced in the game, recording career strikeouts number 1,424 and 1,425 by getting Dalton Varsho and Addison Barger to whiff on sweepers. When he pitched on Thursday, he appeared in 20 straight seasons in at least 1 game, which is a huge milestone for him. He said, it's pretty special. I think just effort and work. Everybody asks, what's the secret? It's work. Just keep putting in the days, 1 drop in the bucket every day. So it's pretty cool for him that he is now able to say that he has pitched in at least 1 game for 20 straight seasons. I mean, how cool is that? The guy has earned it. He's just been around this game for so long and has put so much of his life into this sport. So then the Red Sox, after winning the first game of the series against the Tigers 7-5, which was great, Rich Hill was not used in that game, but Tanner Houck looked really good, pitched 6 innings, giving up 3 hits and no earned runs, and he did strike out 6. But the bullpen struggled. Brennan Bernardino gave up a home run, 3 earned runs, and then it went to Justin Slayton, who gave up no earned runs. Of course, he's typically so reliable out of this pen. And then Kenley Jansen blew the save in the 9th inning, and the game went to extras, and the Red Sox went on to win 7-5. Chris Martin pitched the 10th inning and allowed the team to win the game by preventing the Tigers from scoring runs in that inning. So a thrill of a game, but the Red Sox started the series off strong. But then when they struggled, that is when the offense just decided they didn't want to perform. And as much as Pivetta looked great in game 2, his offense and then some defensive miscues didn't help him along the way. But Rich Hill did pitch 1.1 innings in that game and gave up 0 earned runs with 1 strikeout. So he was on it in that game, just looked super sharp. And then he pitched again in the series finale on Sunday after Cooper Criswell pitched 4 innings and people were wondering why he was getting pulled. Rich Hill was the lefty that the Red Sox brought in to face a bunch of lefties that were coming up in the Tigers lineup. So Alex Cora, from a matchup standpoint, liked it. In hindsight, was not the best decision, but Rich Hill just went 0.2 innings, giving up 1 hit and 2 earned runs. He did strike out 2, but the problem was he walked the leadoff hitter in the inning. Then he was able to record an out, but the issue after that was that he then gave up the home run. So unfortunately, he allowed the walk to come back and bite him. It was a competitive at-bat because Kerry Carpenter fouled off 6 consecutive 2-strike pitches and then drew the walk. So he was very disciplined during the at-bat. And then Jace Jung struck out after that, but then Spencer Torkelson jumped on it and ripped a home run to left field, leading the Tigers to the victory. And one thing I really respect about Rich Hill is that he took responsibility for that. He said, "This loss is on me, just got to do better, that's it." And I think that's really admirable. And it takes a lot of accountability to be able to go out there and admit that you didn't have your best performance and putting the team's loss on yourself. So that shows a lot about his veteran leadership and the fact that he wants to be there to put his team in the best place that he can to succeed. And he's been sharp overall, so it was only a matter of time before he has a game where he struggles. So I commend him a lot. I mean, that loss ultimately is on a lot of people, the offense especially, because they couldn't hit. But I respect the crap out of Rich Hill for taking that type of responsibility and saying that loss is on me. That's the type of guy you want in your locker room, somebody who is willing to be accountable and wants to do better moving forward. So there's a lot to love about Rich Hill being here. I think his veteran presence will make a big difference for this Red Sox team moving forward as he helps guide some of these younger players through having a positive mindset and being able to help them through some of the hardships of playing in Major League Baseball. So I really like overall having him back. Yes, he didn't have it on Sunday, but he's looked good in his few outings that he has made overall since being back in a Boston Red Sox uniform. So hopefully he's able to help this team down the stretch and maybe in a playoff spot, but they've got to win more games before we talk about the playoffs. Coming up, though, now that it's September, the Red Sox did make a couple September call-ups, so I'm going to be discussing those next. If you're looking for a place to get reasonably priced tickets, head to Gametime today. I've talked to so many people about how expensive event tickets have gotten nowadays for concerts, sporting events, comedy shows. It really is insane. And Gametime can make all of that easier for you. I love going to live events, especially going to different major league ballparks. And I have used Gametime every single time I've tried to get tickets for something ever since coming across this app. And I am serious when I say it's an absolute game changer because I see the prices on other apps that are similar, and Gametime always has the cheapest prices and really good deals too. All you have to do to be able to take advantage of this great deal is take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime by downloading the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Gametime. I promise you it will change your experience and it'll make you want to go to more sporting events because you'll realize that the prices are reasonable. So download Gametime today. It's September already, which is absolutely insane. I have no idea where the time went. I am getting married in mid-October, so I'm super excited about that. The countdown is on. So much left for me to do to prepare for this wedding in the meantime, but I am also super excited. And I think that's part of what has caused this year to go by so fast for me is because I've been busy planning a wedding. So super excited for that. But what comes with September? Call-ups for Major League Baseball. The Red Sox called up a pitcher and a position player. So they called up Chase Shugart as their pitching piece. Right-handed pitcher, 27 years old, made his Major League debut on August 15th against the Orioles when he recorded 2 strikeouts over 2.2 innings. He has also pitched in 32 games, 5 of those being starts with Worcester this season, going 5-2 with 1 save, a 4.55 ERA, which is 33 earned runs that he's given up over 65.1 innings pitched, and he's recorded 77 strikeouts. He was originally selected by Boston in the 12th round of the 2018 first-year player draft. He's a Texas native and has posted a 4.70 ERA, 197 earned runs allowed, over 377.0 innings pitched in 159 career minor league games, 50 of those being starts. Super small sample size with Shugart at the major league level. We just didn't get to see a lot of him per se when he did get called up the first time and then he was sent back down to AAA. But the main reason to me that he earned the call up was because of how well he's been pitching in Worcester. He's absolutely been tearing it up out of that bullpen and he saved that pen on multiple occasions this season. So I think the Red Sox felt like he deserved the opportunity to be called up again because since he's been pitching that well at the AAA level, they felt like he deserved to have the opportunity to translate that over to the major league team. So I'm hoping that that means that ends up being the case and that he's able to come out of Boston's bullpen and contribute in the best way possible, because the Red Sox definitely, with the way they're playing right now, could use this spark and maybe have somebody pitch out of that pen who, for one, can help relieve some of the other relievers and give them some rest. And for two, has been tearing it up lately and has been continuing to grow and develop and progressing on that upward trajectory. So having him back hopefully could be a difference maker for the Red Sox moving forward. And even if they don't make the playoffs this year, this is a great way to know if he's somebody who could be part of that Red Sox team moving forward in the future. So there's a positive to these September call-ups, regardless of if the Red Sox end up making the playoffs this year. But he did make an appearance in Sunday's 4-1 loss, pitched 2 innings, giving up 0 earned runs and recorded 2 strikeouts. He has a 1.93 ERA now on the season. So he coasted through, looked very good, definitely super promising for the Red Sox, a team that is hanging on by a thread, not dead yet in this wild card race, but hanging on by a thread while also being very serious about growing pieces for the future. So it was definitely good that he looked the way he did. He was confident out there, had total command of the strike zone, and was able to take care of the job in front of him and get it done. The other player the Red Sox called up, the position player call up, was Enmanuel Valdez, 25 years old, has hit a 244 batting average, 38 for 170 with 12 doubles, 6 home runs, and 27 RBIs in 60 games for Boston this season, making 47 starts at second base and 1 as the DH. In 50 games this season for Worcester, the left-handed hitter has batted .233, 45 for 193, with 11 home runs and 30 RBIs. He was originally signed by the Astros as an international free agent in July 2015, and he has hit .243, which is 75 for 309 in 109 career major league games, all with Boston in the last 2 seasons. The Red Sox did acquire him when they traded Christian Vasquez to the Astros a couple trade deadlines ago. And the thing about Valdez is he definitely displays some versatility. Defensively needs a lot of work, but he can play both second base and shortstop. And he's been a player that the Red Sox have been able to rely on all season long to be able to jump in and play whatever position is needed for him to play in the infield because of somebody being injured, primarily in the middle infield. But the Red Sox like that there's flexibility there with him. And he's been able to show that he has the power and ability at the plate because he strings together some really nice at-bats. When he's up in the majors, it's just more his defensive game that holds him back a little bit. But I like the offense that Valdez provides, and I think having him back up here, the Red Sox are hoping he can provide an offensive spark to help this Red Sox team down the stretch. And on Sunday in the Red Sox loss, he also made an appearance as a pinch hitter and went 0 for 1 in the game. He pinch hit for Nick Shugart and then went in to play second base. And then Romy Gonzalez, who had been playing second, shifted over to shortstop at that time. The Red Sox love to make these roster shifts in game because Alex Cora uses lots of pinch hitters. He did have Danny Jansen come in to pinch hit for Wilyer Abreu. So then he moved into the catching role. And because of that, Connor Wong, who had been catching, moved into left field, which is definitely intriguing. They have done some obscure things with Connor Wong lately. He made a start at second base in this series against the Tigers and also played in the outfield. So Connor Wong's kind of done it all this year, really. And I commend the guy for just continuing to take it all in stride and do it. But the Red Sox love to do these shifting things where they have somebody pinch hit and then they shift around all the defensive positions. Alex Cora does that quite frequently, actually, in hopes of getting an offensive spark going based on what the matchup is. So Valdez is somebody who is a good guy to have on the bench who could come in as a pinch hitter in a big situation because sometimes a hitter coming in who the pitchers haven't seen it all that day can provide a much needed spark for the team at the plate. So Valdez is a great bench piece to have and bring in the game in those types of situations. And also, if they want to give some of their everyday players a rest, Valdez is a great guy that they can slot in there. And you know that generally he's going to be able to get the job done because he can do a little bit of a mix of everything, even though he definitely has parts of his game that he can improve for sure. But overall, I like the move. I think it makes sense to give him another shot in the majors and see what happens there. But the September call-ups are always fun because you get these guys come up who you have no idea what their potential is. And I think Shugart falls into that category. I mean, Wilyer Abreu was a September call-up last year, and look where he's at now. Sadam Rafaela also getting his opportunity. So lots of guys who have potential. And when the Red Sox make their September call-ups, it's players who they see having a lot of potential to contribute down the road. So we'll see how these players pan out. But as far as the Red Sox go, just got to continue to keep the faith and hope that they are able to string things together and go on some big win streak and stop losing series against teams they should not be losing against. But nevertheless, go Red Sox, and I will catch you on the flip side.